All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here today finally had some action. So spiders finishing down 1.39, Qs down 1.49. Dow down 1.25, and let's check the IWM. That was down 1.95, so pretty good outside move there. And Mike Wilson just can't seem to get it right. So biggest bear on Wall Street flipping the other day, and now markets putting in a top possibly. Well, we'll see here. So markets here started off relatively normal. Markets were asleep and just kind of continuing that 0DTE grind higher. Earlier we talked about the 47.85 area. We didn't quite get there. I think high of the day on the SPX was around 47. It was like 47.78. So yeah, 47.78 almost exactly. And then right around the afternoon, we got a little bit of a fade here, and a couple of things happened here. So I've been talking about this a lot lately. I've been tweeting about it, been telling my members about it, but the VIXI was kind of telling us something. This was up it was up 6% today, and off of the lows in the middle of the day before the sell-off had even started. This was up 7% off the lows. And when I see market up, vol up, it's generally, we know that's a warning sign. The VIXI here, I think, finished up 12 or 13% from the low on the 14th. And you can see obviously the market here. This was where it was on the 14th, and this is where it was intraday today. So a little bit of a red flag there. And that was telling us that some type of move is coming. But, it was like a game of chicken. We don't know if it's going to be, are they going to make the new all-time high first? Are they going to dump this ahead of Christmas? What's going to happen here, right? So we know there's lots of possibilities. So do we just pull back first, then make an all-time, there's lots of possibilities here. Everyone knows a correction is coming. Everybody who's traded for more than 10 minutes knows that this is an unsustainable move. It's just a matter of when and how, right? So afternoon, we had a pretty good dump here, and it looks like it came from the futures more so than 0DTE. But in either way, we had a pretty good sell. And is this a top? Maybe. So we have kind of a cycle date. If you guys know your cycle stuff, this was essentially inside of a window here for there to be a turning point. The one thing that's missing right here, and it's volume, right? So we did, we got at 87 million by the end of the day. It's 4:04 right now, PM. So I'm doing this just after the bell, and I would prefer to see 100 million. So we will probably get there in the after hours, but I'd like to see it during market hours. That said, it's definitely something that needs to be respected. You had an outside move down, and you definitely had better than average volume. And obviously, most of the volume came in the last, hour and a half. So we had a lot. I mean, we were going to finish at like 40 million shares for the day. We were on pace for like 40 or 50 million. And then we really ramped up towards the end of the day. So that's definitely something that needs to pay attention to. So, but is this a top? That's the big question, right? I'm in the camp that it's not quite anything more than the start of consolidation. That doesn't mean we won't have a big drop, but I don't think it's going to happen right now unless we get some type of macro news after the bell that somebody knew something about, because there wasn't any news on this drop. Again, it could just be end of year profit taking. We knew the rug was going to get pulled at some point. We were up almost 20% in 6 weeks. That does not happen, right? Like that happens like off of the Great Depression lows. That happens off of like the COVID lows. That doesn't happen when you're, already in an uptrend, in an up year, generally speaking. So a historic move, we knew there was going to be an outside move at some point. Additionally, I just don't think they're going to crash the market ahead of Christmas, right? I just don't think that's going to happen. They did a lot of work, right? BTFP, FHLB, all these backdoor liquidity programs. They did this all year long. Yellen with the QRA adjustment, Powell pivoting, right? There's lots of things that they did to keep this market up and ahead of the holidays. Again, that said, kind of looking for some type of a turn potentially during this window. And I don't have that turn being a major top. Additionally, usually the first distribution is not the top. You can even go back to July of this year. Technically, to the letter of the law, it was the top, but you got a little retrace here. And even though you came down, if you were just patient, you could have gotten in at a 75% retrace, right? So there's no need to panic here and jump into on the short side. It's better to miss the first 1.5–2% on the downside and still capture the other 8 to 15. And just kind of let the charts talk to us. But either way, nice move. I'm not complaining. I like action. I don't like, melt ups are not really my favorite type of market because look at these tiny little candles. There's nothing to do there as a trader. So nice outside move there on the spiders. I would prefer to see a little bit more volume, but it is definitely significant. If you guys follow the SPX, we closed right at the 4,700 handle. So whole round number there. I'm going to give the bears the bias here to the 20 moving average. So we'll say that for right now. And we'll just go from there. And that's going to be a big level. That was your previous 52-week high. It also is going to kind of essentially coincide with this pivot here. It's not that far away. So 4640, and then we'll just say 4600 on the downside for a possible pullback. But nice sell here, and we'll take it at face value for now, and we'll go into tomorrow. So again, if this was any other time of the year, right? If this was in February, I would say, yeah, it's probably a top, but it's very hard for this type of action to happen right before the holidays, and to get a gauge on it. How much of it is just end of year profit taking? How much do you want to take with it? Anyways, Q's down 1.5. Nice outside move. Wiped out 3 days of trading there. Better volume. Check out the little topping tail too intraday. I pointed this out in the trading room. Now, I'm not going to say I saw this move coming, but it was a little topping candle and a little retrace, and then a pretty good dump there. So a little bit of a tail there for the Qs. Again, we'll give it a downside bias to 395. You've got pivot high, 20 MA there, and if we get through that 390, I know we've talked about that level. That's a big level, and we'll see if that gets hit on the downside there. Dow here, outside move down. This thing is a fat pig. It needs to come in. It's been telling you guys every day, it's parabolic. It needs to pull back down 1.25 here. We'll see. Again, better than expected volume. I sound like CNBC now. Better than average volume. And you're right back into the previous double top. Again, we'll give it the downside to the 20 MA for now, so right around 365, but pretty good outside move there. Now, another good outside move was on the Russell. Got all the way up to 202, and I was thinking this might want to get up to 205. Didn't quite get there. But again, look at this, level's held, right? This has been resistance for about almost 18 months now. Right here, that 200 to 202.50 area. That's been pretty good. So nice outside move down 2%. This is also parabolic. So watch the gap there, and we'll watch the 20 moving average, and we'll see how that reacts. That's really the best I can give you. Is we'll just look for gap fill, maybe 192 on the downside, and then the 20-day moving average there for the Russell. Semiconductors, pretty good outside move down. So 1, 2, 3, 4 days wiped out in one session on an uptick in volume. That's definitely a sign. 165, we talked about that the last couple of days. That's where it's going to want to go. We'll give it the downside bias there. And if you get through that, it's your previous double top. So right around the 160 handle. Socks, 39 and 38. So we'll watch those. IGV, down 1.43, but this is still like such a tank, right? It hasn't even really broken trend. Look at how strong it is. Look at the spacing between the moving averages. This is just such a strong trend. Not a lot of volume on the sell there, and cloud software still remains one of the best sectors here. Now, again, are we finally going to start weekly consolidation? I really hope so, because I think it needs to. I think it needs to do it. It got up to 408.56, and not quite to the 410 handle like we talked about. But again, weekly chop zone. It's probably going to need to pull back, and I think we might be seeing the start of that here. All right, transports had a really interesting day. So take a look at the DJT. That is not a fake print. Look at the intraday here. Gap down, rallied all the way back up to the flat line, and then gave it all back here. Not UPS, FedEx was down big. Take a look at that, hit the 618. Look at this rally on FedEx, and then once FedEx started to lose the gains, It really brought the transports down. So I think that wants to get down to the 240 handle. And then UPS, same thing here. I know we don't look at these very often, but there's news here. We have the same thing, big U shape, or I should say inverted U, horseshoe shape on UPS, down 3% there. So that did drag down the DJT. 15.6 is your gap fill, but I think 15.5 is kind of the better level there for the transports, but nice downside move there. Everything was overbought. We knew that, and it all needed to come back in. All right, interest rates here. So this was kind of funny. So you see the 2-year here continued lower, and really what interests me more is the long end of the curve here. 375, again, we're still looking for that on the 5 and the 10s and the 30s. But I mean, take a look at intraday. You know, when the selling in the market started, bonds started accelerating. So this is the yield, obviously. So inverse to this is bonds. And it started to accelerate. So it's almost as if bonds acted risk off. I don't know if that's really the case. Again, this is why I think that this move here in the spiders was just likely end of year profit taking that was way overdue, because it didn't come from macro. It didn't come from yield spiking or anything like that. Unless there's some news that comes out after the bell, maybe somebody knew about it ahead of time. It certainly could be the case. But, you know, rates still coming in, and again, still looking for one more drop in yields, but I don't really think there's that much downside overall. XHB here, again, still a really strong sector, down just 1%. Still inside of this green, so this is safe. If you close below the green bar, then this is vulnerable down to 86. So we'll go with that until proven otherwise, but still in a good uptrend there. VNQ came in down 1.25. Again, we'll give that the downside bias to the 20 MA. I said 86 and 84 as well, so we'll watch those levels. In addition, XLF, nice outside move down, wiped out the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days of trading as well. 36.25 is your first stop, and then 35.50 and 35 on that one. KRE was a little disappointed in this one today. I had a chance to, I was looking to day trade this. Actually, we did. We got stopped out intraday on the KRE, but luckily made up for it later. But in any case, this is going to go back to 50. And then we'll look at 49. So that was your last breakout. Right in that area is where I think the KRE wants to go. I wouldn't put too much on the gap fill there. It's already basically into that. KBE 44 and then 42.50 are the big levels to watch there. Broker dealers, via the XBD, nice reversal. Made a new all-time high again today. Again, very overbought, stretched. This should get back to 520 and retest that. Oil here was interesting. So it was up much more earlier, and then we had inventory data, and it came down, got a bounce, and then came back in. So finished down 0.25%, but it did have a decisive close above the 20 moving average. We talked about that yesterday. Again, I'm just kind of neutral on it right now. I'd like to see what kind of pattern it puts in. There's the 75 handle. We touched it, came back in. I'm thinking this has one more drop in it. I don't know if it makes a lower low, though, but I do think that this has one more pullback here, and then it's going to be time to evaluate it, because I don't think it has a lot more time on the clock to go lower either, much like yields. But again, it helped, pulled back off the 75 handle. If it gets through it, it can go to 80. XLE gap and crap day down 1% on the day. Again, I'm not doing anything with these. I just don't like the pattern on them. Same thing with XOP and OIH here. I would like OIH at 280 if it gets there, though. CCJ continuing that outside move down. So we'll look at 42, 50 MA, previous high. Weekly chart, a little bit of trouble here. So you've wiped out 4 weeks of trading in one. And the monthly, starting to get a little bit of a reflex there. So you go up parabolic, you can go parabolic down. And this has a history of doing that too. So be aware of that. So I think those fund managers are done chasing this thing, and the people who did make money might be taking some profits. URNM lower as well. Weekly chart is still fine. I still think this is just weekly consolidation. That looks okay to me. No problems. Nat gas pulling in here today. So get back some of those gains from yesterday. That has inventories tomorrow. I couldn't tell you what this wants to do here in the short run. But again, backing off 3% off of that 260 area. And we'll see what that does tomorrow. Dollar index. So, hanging in there. But again, like Decent rally into the end of the day when the market was selling, but again, this is why I say it's not really, it doesn't look like it was macro related, because the dollar didn't even make a daily higher high. Like, you're still inside of this red bar here. So we'll see what the DXY does. I'm not sure what to do with this trend line yet. You're close to it. If it consolidates above it long enough, it can go through it. Just be aware of that. But we'll see what kind of pattern it puts in. I'm neutral on it. I am not touching the DXY here. It definitely didn't even respond to the sell in the markets here today. Gold did back off. It was having a decent day earlier, just kind of flat to lower, and then it did back off towards the end of the day. You can see there on the GLD. If this puts in consolidation, it can go higher, but I still think there's a ton of supply up here. So just be aware of that. And silver was up decently as well, though it did come back in off the highs, finishing up just 0.5%. Again, sold off with the market. Again, the dollar got a bid. It pulled the metals in, but no real problems here in the short term. Platinum, definitely no problems in the short term. I really like that chart on platinum. Palladium also pulling back here inside day after a big thrust off the lows. And then copper got almost up to 395 and then pulled back in. So slight higher high. That's not bearish. I'd say the pattern suggests a move up to $4 potentially. So copper hanging in there okay. Bitcoin, it's acting like nothing happened. Again, I'm just going to give this the upside bias to 48. Until that ETF news comes out. A little bit of distribution there though on intraday. Possible little MA pattern there intraday on Bitcoin. So that might have to pull back in a little bit more here. But again, you're back above the 20. If you close above this red bar high, 43,847, it can go higher. It's really that simple. So no problems there with Bitcoin. It did come off the highs though on an intraday basis with the market. Again, lastly, just to wrap up here. So pretty good outside move. We've just negated like 4 or 5 days worth of trading in one, and we'll get over 100 million shares in the after hours. So that is notable, but I'm not so convinced that this is a major top. I know everybody wants it to be, or not, maybe not everybody, but everyone's looking for it. But we'll have to just see here. So again, it's pretty rare to see something like that right in front of Christmas. We were, in the same hand though, this is a rare move that you're not going to see, maybe for another decade, right? So you expect the mean reversion to be proportionate to this move. That said, again, we'll take it one day at a time. I do think 460, 462 is pretty good support here for the market, especially in the short run. 20 moving average. If we're down sharply again tomorrow, you best believe dip buyers will step in and try to buy this thing up. So again, don't get too carried away with one day, but it is a pretty good sell here. And we'll definitely let the markets tell us a little bit more. Going into the end of the year, nice to see some fireworks finally, because I really hate this slow, grindy action. But again, hopefully we get some more moving forward and definitely into the new year. So anyways, guys, going to wrap up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.